Mills fashions a kick back towards the wing for Lady! Left now, lines them up. It's coming back. Cox is the biggest man there.
G'day guys, welcome to Red Time ahead of a huge round 8. I'm Jared Barker, and joining me as always to talk through the latest in the world of footy is Fremantle's Mason Cox. Welcome mate, how are we?
I am fantastic. I'm actually just about to head to Melbourne, which is exciting to go back to the place I've spent over a decade here in Australia. So some catch-ups and stuff with some friends, which would be nice.
You definitely didn't spend a decade playing at Marvel Stadium, I will say that. So it's a little bit different for you, but not the most unfamiliar place for you. But what are the vibes like, mate? It's at Freo at the moment. 6-1, sitting pretty. Are we talking flags yet or what?
No, by no means. It is a bit of a longer trip for an away game now, living in Fremantle for a Marvel game. It used to be a long trip of 10-minute drive, I want to say, in Melbourne. Now it's, a 5-hour flight. So a little bit different experience. But now the club's going really well. Obviously, whenever you've got wins on the board, everyone's pretty happy. But yeah, it's been exciting. There's a lot of opportunity and talent that's at this club. And it's been enjoyable seeing it all come together.
Well, you're playing your part as well. You kicked a couple of snags on the weekend. You pulled the jumper to the crowd to celebrate. You went and told Benny Ainsworth to go and get stuffed. What did he say to you to elicit that response from you anyway? Did he call you 6'10" instead of 6'11" or something?
Yeah, how dare he? Absolute debacle. I took the mark. I went back off the mark. And, usually whenever someone trash talks to you, it lasts about 5 seconds. It might be right before you kick. It's like as soon as I took the mark and I'd kind of pulled off the mark, he started just absolutely going after me for about 25 seconds the whole time. He just couldn't shut up. And I was like, you could hear it, but I didn't know who it was coming from. I just knew it was in my vicinity to the left of me. And some of the stuff I won't repeat. But yes, I actually don't mind it. I kind of like it. But after I kicked the goal, which was probably, I think it was like 40 meters out, which is right on my range, I'll be honest with you. And whenever kind of straight off the boot, you kind of knew it was going in, and you're like, yeah, this is a good time to just kind of let them know. Just let them know what's up.
You absolutely flushed it, so it didn't work.
Maybe I need to tell people to talk trash more often.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the key. I thrive under pressure and pricks.
And shit talk. just what'd you call it last year? The psych out?
The psych out. I mean, it's my biggest.
Just a
we've talked about this before. It's my most frustrating thing the AFL got rid of was the psych out on the mark. But it is what it is. It's like basketball. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
Brilliant
but,
movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
So bring it back. And the biff.
Bring back the biff. I'm with you on that. Benny Ainsworth. Just keep your mouth shut, or keep talking, and players are gonna kick snags on you. But start, bench, or drop. Dane Zorgo, Ben Ainsworth. I won't make you do it.
Don't go there. Don't go there. What's below drop? I don't know.
Sack.
Sack. There you go.
Speaking of start, bench, or drop.
Melbourne CEO. That's what we got to do. Melbourne CEO.
Melbourne CEO of them. Speaking of start, bench, or drop, let's get into it. First one's a very controversial one for this week. Technology in sport. Coxy, start, bench, or drop?
I'm going to bench this. I think it's a tough one because there's some technology that's really good. You look at other sports like tennis, and tennis has like completely changed it. Is there too much in a sense? I don't know if you ever went to the Australian Open, but there was a call that was like right on the line. Everyone does like the slow clap into it to try to figure out whether or not it hit the line or not. And then it shows it. And it's like everyone gets either excited or not. I know here, obviously, with the AFL, one of the biggest debacles that's kind of been going on is the ARC debate. It is a weekly, I feel like, topic that everyone keeps talking about. And fair, because we're all trying to figure it out. Cricket has 7 different ways of figuring out if the ball hits a stump and every angle and everything else. But for some reason, we can't figure out if an AFL ball can do that. Don't know how that works. Same stadiums, everything. So you think you'd be able to figure it out. But here we are with 2 decisions over the weekend that I think the AFL is starting to realize, we probably need to figure this out. We've had 3 or 4 years now. It's kind of run out of excuses.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think, there's like sport. You can use technology in sport for sure. But I don't know that the AFL is a league and Aussie Rules is a sport that needs to solely rely on tech. Like tech belongs in it, but it's such a unique sport that is always going to be imperfect. Like we play on a big oval with 20-odd players and an egg-shaped ball that bounces this way and that way. So nothing's ever really going to be perfect. I think we sort of need to take the good with the bad and just accept that things are going to be wrong sometimes. I mean, coaches make mistakes, players make mistakes, umpires will get some calls wrong as well. Does that mean we shouldn't strive to be more accurate? Of course we should be, but I just don't think it's always going to be the case with a sport like this. I think we need to embrace how imperfect this sport is. It's just a completely different sport to the like tennis and cricket is a lot easier to officiate. I think footy is one of the most difficult sports in the world to actually be an umpire for. So and that's the other thing. Like, it's not even on the umpires here. Like, there's a lot of umpire bashing always, but they're still adjudicating to the letter of the law, even if they get something wrong. The onus here is on the AFL and the directive from them, and to make their umpire's job a lot easier. And right now, I don't think it is easy. So, yeah, what was interesting with Greg Swan's comments this week when he addressed the media. So he said when now, given the Marshall decision, 30 seconds of game time got erased to go back to get the call right. So now they're not actually going to take that long. If play resumes, they're not going to call it back to reverse the call anymore. Only issue with that is you could get another Tom Hawkins 09 situation where he hits the post, but there was no technology to reverse it. The Ben Keys goal from a couple of years ago, which was clearly a goal but called it behind. So if play does resume and then it's within 2 seconds of it resuming, you notice that it should have been called a goal. If that happens in a prelim or a grand final, I know that's what we always say, but I don't know if the AFL should have come out and actually said, no, we're not reversing calls anymore if play resumes. I still think there should be room for it. But what's the balance, right? Would you rather get the call right and delay a game, or keep the flow of a game? I think there's
definitely got to be a cutoff point at some sense, right? So you can't just be you playing for a minute and a half, then you're like, all right, everyone bring it back, take a minute and a half off the clock. I think, like you said before, it is a sport that's unique in a sense where there's not a lot of stopping time. Like, you look at other sports around the world, like, you have time to then adjudicate a decision, whereas in AFL, as soon as you kick a goal, essentially, if it's not a goal, it's bang straight back out, and then your play resumes really quickly. So there's not a lot of, I guess, room for error in a sense of being able to make that decision quickly. That's one of the biggest issues whenever it comes to these arcs, is you essentially have a 5 to 10 seconds to be able to make that decision and then get it down to the umpires to make the call on the ground. So that's one of the issues. And being an umpire in the AFL is the worst job in the world. I think that's pretty agreeable for most people because it is such an opinionated sport. There's nothing that's really completely clear cut. You could look at every different rule and say, oh, in this situation it's okay, but in this situation it's
so
not
open to
called.
interpretation.
It's so much interpretation. And whenever I talk to people that have never seen the game, they're like, I am so confused as to calls. The way the ball's moved and the goals and everything else is exciting, the marks and everything else. But whenever it comes down to the rules of the game of like high tackles and all this other stuff, that kind of, I guess, is over a lot of people's heads that just come into the game. If you play for a long time, you get it, but it does take a while to sort it out. As far as technology in sport in general, though, I think the AFL can't cut it all out. I look at a positive of technology in sport with the AFL. Recently, there have been implements of mouth guards and other things that have been able to help adjudicate concussions and the amount of G-forces that a player has been given whenever they get a big tackle or get a big hit or something like that. And I think being able to have that technology to then be able to help make these decisions around concussion a lot clearer for doctors is a good thing for the AFL, because right now in the game, it's a very much and once again, like an opinion-based thing with doctors. There are obviously clear-cut signs where you have to take someone out, but there's also symptoms. I'll look at, I think it was like Jordan DeGoey a couple of weeks ago. He came back on the field and then went off for a concussion later, like 10, 15 minutes later after he got an injury. If we could find a clear-cut way of saying, here's physical evidence of a number, if you hit that number, we have to take you off, or we have to assess you, or you're done for the game, I think that can be a great thing for the AFL.
Yeah, I think tech belongs, but we need to get the tech right. And that's something for the AFL to sort out quickly. But that's not the only thing causing frustration, Coxy.
Oh, what else we got? We've got the stand rule. The stand rule is under scrutiny again. You wouldn't believe it.
No.
Oh, the stand rule. Not a fan, but what do? Start, bench, or drop this one?
Well, drop it. I said this a few weeks ago, and I said to you, are we going to keep on bringing this up until they actually bloody scrap it or fix it? The tightening of the restriction at the start of this season was just crap, absolute crap. I think it's one of the worst rules that's ever been introduced in this game. And I'm going to keep on bringing it up because it keeps on being relevant. Players being penalised for not having any real impact on intruding on a where a player's going to dispose of the ball, being called 50 metres. I don't think the punishment fits the crime. I've already said this, and as I said, it causes a lot of frustration. I don't know anyone who agrees with this rule. And you can argue, it opens up the game, it speeds up the game and get higher scores, but okay, it's not like there weren't higher scores before this rule. 20 years ago, teams are still scoring 100 points a game. So, as I said last time, I'm going to say it again. I don't like the AFL trying to manufacture a certain game style, like let the players and coaches do that. I really am against this stand rule, or at least the tightening of the interpretations, which we're seeing this year. I don't think it helps anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think the stand rule's okay. I don't mind it, but I think how strict it's been. I thought by now, a lot of times the AFL implements new rules and stuff. It goes extreme, and then they cut it back, and then it lands somewhere in the middle. I still don't feel like it's landed somewhere in the middle. I still feel like we're on one end of the spectrum as far as how tight that call is going to be. And you're starting to see teams kind of, expose it in a sense. And that's what good teams do. They look at it and they go, okay, like you're going to set this rule. How do we go around this rule? Or how do we take and use it to our advantage in a sense? And I think there's teams that are doing that. You look at like handball receives and stuff like that and going around the player on the mark. Players are so cautious as to, not jumping off the mark. So like you'll see, like on the weekend, I think there's some point where, someone got a free kick and then they just say stand, and you've got three guys all kind of doing the Spider-Man meme, looking at each other, not really sure who's the one that's standing. And then he essentially has to say a player's name, and then the other two guys can lead the contest. So I think there's just almost like a real kind of, just like urgency for them to call stand, and then the players are unaware of who he's actually talking to. So then you have to wait. And then, within 2 or 3 seconds, your player can be 10, 15 meters off you. So it's a real kind of tough one that I think the AFL needs to probably just kind of pull back a little bit on and be able to give clear communication and instruction to the players to then be able to make the game better overall.
Scott Pendlebury's gold number 10, start, bench, or drop?
Oh, geez. I love something different. I know Scott doesn't mind it too. He won't ever say that, but I think he would appreciate something different. And I think he deserves it, to be honest with you. Breaking the game's number, huge accomplishment, huge, event in AFL history. And it'll be one of those things that you look at throughout the year as one of the highlights of the year. The gold number, interesting look. I mean, we've had the visual of it, and a gold 10 on the back. Pretty aggressive. Just going to say.
To be fair, it is just a mock-up. We don't know how it's actually going to look, but that is a bit in your face, the one that's
funny how people get pissed off about trying to put someone's name on the back, blah, blah. But it's like, no, we can just make gold numbers. So it's like Collingwood fans hate any difference besides the black and white stripes and, the back being the exact same. I think the gold 10 a bit aggressive. I think it'd be cool to do something that's like unique to Pendles' jumper in a sense, where either you put his name on it or something along those lines. But I think every player on the Collingwood team, the front has the logo, the emblem. I would like to see that gold. I think that would be really cool and like kind of not over the top doing it, but I think in a sense doing something special that is recognized, and then Pendles having something special that is unique to his jersey alone. Doesn't need to be over the top, but definitely something you look at and go, this is a celebration of an incredible man doing something that we probably never thought was possible after Boomer Harvey did it.
So you're saying like how the reigning premiers wear that gold AFL logo. You're saying that the Collingwood players on the day should wear a gold Collingwood logo? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, something like that, or maybe a new version of the logo that is celebrating Pendles in a sense. Just like a
stitched 433 or whatever it's going to be.
Or just put like SP10 under the logo or something. Something that's just different that recognizes it.
Yeah.
And then Pendles having something I think of his own. Like he'll do boots that are totally unique, and I'm sure he'll have something else that he'll do that is going to celebrate.
There'll be a drop of red coming out for sure.
There'll be a drop of red. There'll be multiple drops of red. I almost guarantee you that. There'll be I'll say this. There'll probably be a coffee blend that comes out too. There'll be a cup. There'll be shirts. There'll be everything that the Collingwood Football Club and Pendles will try to sell to be able to make money on that day. And I'm all for Pendles doing it. Club different. Hopefully Pendles is getting a cut. Not sure who his agent is at the moment, but I am saying this, he should be getting at least a 50% cut of every single sale they're doing.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he will get some significant cuts. But we were talking about this in the office before about how, you know how in the NBA, the trophy winners from the previous season, like your MVP, Defensive Player of the Year and all that, they wear like the special stitching in opening week on their jerseys. Do you reckon we should do that in the AFL? Like the Brownlow winner, the Coleman winner, Rising Star Coaches Award for the following season should have like a special logo on their Guernsey. Would you be for that?
I'm not against it. I wouldn't say it's something I would put high on the priority list. But yeah, I kind of like something different for different players. Like, I don't think it needs to be over the top. Like, we've had this conversation multiple times of how obnoxious the branding is for some of the jerseys, and having a logo, at the base on the bottom of the back or something like that, a little, I won't say a blank stamp down there at the bottom of the jersey with you saying you're a Coleman winner or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It would be kind of cool. Whether or not clubs want to, invest that money to then have one jersey that's completely different from the others, I'm not sure how it all works as far as getting that on there, and if
They
clubs have the ability to.
The clubs have the money.
The AFL has the money. I'm not sure if the clubs do, but the AFL definitely does, and they're the ones adjudicating that award. So I'm all for it. There'll be some traditionalists that will absolutely hate it, but yeah, it is what it is. I think it'd be kind of cool.
What do you got for me?
We've got Collingwood is right to set up Pendles' record-breaking game at the MCG instead of letting it happen naturally. Drop.
I think I'm starting, yeah. For an occasion like this, I don't think it needs to happen naturally. Like, some things are bigger than 4 points. And I know I'm usually someone who says, like, the individual isn't bigger than the team or the club. And we spoke about this last year with ahead of the first week of finals with David Swallow, how he wasn't in the best team, but he was like an OG son, had never played in a final before, and Damien Hardwick, there was talk about whether he would actually select him for the elimination final as like a token gesture. And I remember saying then, well, I wouldn't mess with selection integrity. It just is what it is. But for this occasion, this isn't your run-of-the-mill 200th game milestone. This is literally the game's record all time. And the next time this happens, we don't know where we'll be. It might not happen again. So I think it's monumental enough that it does warrant an occasion where you do sort of build it up and let it happen at the MCG. You'll get 90K Collingwood fans there, and I think, yeah, Pendlebury will probably deserve that. I'll ask you that question, though, whether you think he would prefer it to be in Melbourne. I would say he would. The club clearly would. They'll benefit off that as a home game as well. And I think the fans would appreciate it too. That's the other side of this as well. So, yeah, I'm going to start this. I think it is okay that Collingwood do try and manufacture this and make sure it is at the MCG, which it looks like now it's going to be if he doesn't play that Sydney game in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, I'm going to start this, and I know 100% that this has been planned out a long time before any of the season is sorted out. This has been on the radar of Collingwood for a long time. This has been on the radar for Pendles for a long time, obviously. And, I think the schedule actually kind of matches up for it to be at the MCG anyway, like with resting Pendles for a couple of weeks or whatever it may be going into it. Against West Coast, Pendles might kick 10, to be honest with you. But there's something you said there, and it said no players bigger than the team. And I agree with that, bigger than the club. And I agree with that. Pendles is a unique situation. And I think this occasion is bigger than Collingwood.
Yeah.
And I will say that. I think this occasion is an AFL league-wide thing that needs to be celebrated. And I think most teams, have that respect, and fans have that respect for Pendles and what he's been able to accomplish. And I think this occasion is bigger than Collingwood in that sense. So I do agree that the MCG, 100,000 people, it will sell out. I can guarantee you that. Like I said, there'll be plenty of wine. There'll be shared and everything else between Pendles' nice drop of red. Maybe I'll get a bottle after saying this. Who knows? But yeah, it's something that he's obviously extremely proud of. He should be extremely proud of, and it's something that the AFL and the Collingwood Football Club need to, give due respect for, and to put it in front of the 100,000 fans that he's been in front of for, I don't know how many years now, 18 years, whatever it is. I feel like that's a great way to be able to celebrate an incredible accomplishment that, like you said, may never happen again.
Yep, I'm with you 100%. I think it absolutely should be at the MCG. Next one here, 3 rucks in the All-Australian team. Start, bench or drop. We don't usually see this, but gee whiz, this might be the year.
as a ruckman, I think you know what my answer is going to be, big dog. I'm going to start this because let's be honest, it all starts with one person in the middle the whole game. And if it ain't for them, this thing just wouldn't be as fun. So gone, Grundy, Jackson, all Australians. And Sherry, tough. Obviously, he's suspension at the moment, so he hasn't been able to probably put his hand up with the other three at the moment. All those guys, though, have an incredible season. Jacko, some of the goals he kicked yesterday, or like over the weekend, I was just like pissing myself laughing because I couldn't believe it actually went through. I think he had a left-footed snap on the run at some point. I was just like, you want to talk about a unicorn?
Ruckman,
that guy is one-on-one what it is. Ruckman don't do that. And that guy can play as a ruck, mid, forward. Hell, throw him back for all I care. He can do anything. And I've been able to see it firsthand. It's very impressive. Grundy, obviously, massive love and respect for him. 250th game coming up this weekend, which is exciting for him to be able to celebrate too. And gone. I mean, he's been the premier ruckman, I think, for what seems like the last decade at least. So it's a tough one for selectors to have to go through. I don't know if you could pick one of them as a forward and then have two rucks. I don't know if you can consider that. Max Gone has played a little bit of forward. Jackson played a little bit of forward. Grundy not as much. But yeah, I would love to see three rucks in the Australian team. But I know there's a lot of shorter guys that, probably get a bit more stats that would probably get selected over the three ruck Australian.
Yeah, I'm probably dropping it. I think the question is like how many key forwards will there be as well? So how many tall players would be in the team? And we're having a lot of good key forward seasons this year as well. So how many talls can you really have? So yeah, Gorn, Grundy and Jackson right now are clearly having AA caliber seasons, but yeah, I don't know, long way to go. But yeah, I highly doubt the selectors will put three rucks in there. They're going to have to just make a hard call if they do keep up this form. You got the next one for me?
Yeah, I've got you all-interstate grand final. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, again, I'll put this on the bench. So it's actually only happened once since 2006, and that was Brisbane versus Sydney in 2024. So the time before that we had an all-interstate non-Victorian grand final was 06, West Coast and Sydney. So it does not happen often. But you look at the top teams this season, Brisbane, Sydney, Fremantle, or some of the top teams. Hawthorn's in there as well as a Victorian team. But Gold Coast, maybe, if they can get on a run. Yeah, I don't know. Can the Crows or Giants have a late run? Regardless, there's three interstate teams there that are probably, in my eyes, clearly top four caliber teams at this stage of the season. So, yeah, that's what makes this quite topical at the moment. But it's only happened once since 2006. And being a Victorian-based team, it does make it easier if you can get the home finals at the MCG. So, hard to see it happening, but that's why I'll put it on the bench.
Yeah, I'm actually going to start this one. I'm going to go against you a little bit.
No way.
Shocker. I know. Really? As a guy who lives in Perth, wouldn't believe it. Yeah, I think it's kind of crazy. I've seen this shift in a sense since I've come into the league. Obviously, Victorian teams, I feel like dominated for a long time. But, like you said, there's only been one since 2006 it was. And I look at the league now, and I look at some of the financial benefits that have been given to teams that are outside of Victoria. You look at GWS, who's been GWS really hasn't had a down year in a long time. They're constantly making finals. They're consistently up there competing with the best. You look at Sydney. Sydney's always been up there. Gold Coast is probably the only one I'm looking at that on the East Coast, Northeast Coast, whatever you want to call it, is the only one that really hasn't been there for a while. And they're the newest team. And now that they've got Dimmer in, they've got, some big names that have come up there and Christian Petrarca, et cetera. I think that they're going to be a team that we look at as a GWS from here on out, as long as they can keep a good head coach that can be able to bring talent up there and be able to mold them into a great team. Obviously, Brisbane's been up there doing really well. They did have a down time, I want to say, probably 8 to 10 years ago. They were kind of towards the bottom of the ladder, but there's a lot of players that now are wanting to go to these clubs from Victoria or other teams. It's a destination thing to go outside of Victoria, every single offseason, I feel as though there's a big name in Victoria that moves out and goes interstate to a Brisbane or Sydney or something like that. And especially the key forwards, which are some of the most scrutinized positions in all the league, they end up going, you know what, I'm going to take a little bit less pressure and go up to Gold Coast and live in the sunshine and hang out and get paid the exact same, if not more. So you look at Oscar who's gone up to Brisbane. You look at Joe Danaher went up to Brisbane. You look at these guys who are key forwards who, have had this pressure and building in this, in whether it's West Coast or Adelaide or Melbourne. And they're like, you know what? I wouldn't mind a lifestyle that's a bit more laid back. Wouldn't mind a little bit of a lifestyle that's less pressure. And if someone's going to pay me as much as I am now or getting paid more, like to do the same thing, then why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. We'll see what happens, but let's look ahead to the weekend now, Coxy. It's now time for the Hot Stat Checklist, powered by StatMate. Download the app for free now. Adelaide versus Port Adelaide. Part of that Friday night, another Friday night doubleheader with your game, by the way. So for the showdown, Zach Butters tends to step it up a notch when this game comes around. He's only won one showdown medal, but has averaged 34.8 disposals the last 5 times these two teams clashed, collecting at least 32 touches in all of them. So 32 plus again for Butters. Yes, no?
I'll go yes. Great player, lives up to the big games. I'll tick the box on 32 plus.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. Port are playing better than Adelaide, really, which I don't think too many people would have expected at this stage. They should have beaten Hawthorn in round 6 as well. They beat the Cats on the weekend, so I think a lot of it stems from the midfield, which is where Adelaide are lacking too. So I'll say yes as well.
Big scalp for confidence beating Geelong this weekend, I think.
What'd you say?
It's a big scalp for the confidence builder over the weekend, beating Geelong.
Yeah, 100%.
True power.
Western Bulldogs versus Fremantle. So your game, we've got 2 stats here. With the injury woes of the Dogs, it's good to see Riley Sanders get an extended run on ball. 21-year-old has collected 25 plus disposals in 4 consecutive games. And then one of your teammates, Shea Bolton, could be in for a big one the way the Dogs are going at the moment. So he's kicked 15 goals in his last 7 matchups, kicking 2 plus in 6 of those. 25 plus for Sanders, 2 plus goals for Bolton.
Well, I'm hoping less than 25 for Sanders and more than 2 for Bolton.
That's fair.
Just selfishly, that's what I would like. Yes, yeah, that's what I'll go with.
He does tend to bob up when you need him most. Like on the weekend, the last quarter, when he kicked 2 in as many minutes to really extend that gap on the Blues, and yeah, I mean, basically won the match.
He's an incredible athlete. Some of the stuff, he's just one of those, like, the Indigenous players of AFL are the most exciting players whenever I watch. Like, they do the best stuff, the juke, the side, the fake out, whatever it might be. It's just like, I love watching players like Bolts play. And just even whenever I'm on the ground, he'll do something and you just get caught like in awe. You're just like, man, this guy has just got this incredible talent to be able to go and play. And over the weekend he's consistently showed it every week. I think he's probably one of the more underrated players in the league right now. And I'm very fortunate to have him playing alongside me.
100%. And the next game here, Geelong versus North Melbourne. We're back with Jezza Cameron, who we've touched on a bit this season. So when facing the Roos, he's kicked a whopping 30 goals in his last 5 games against them. That's a bag of 7, 4, 6, 2, and 11, which was last season. As well as kicking 4 plus goals in 7 of his last 10 at GMHBA Stadium. So the game is pointing in one direction for him. How many can we lock him in for this week?
I'll put him down for 5. The thing is, I don't know that people realize this. North Melbourne, 6th on the ladder right now. 6th.
Well, yeah, they lost on the weekend.
Just flying under the radar a little bit. Like, people have put a lot more like effort and like understanding into North Melbourne being a legit team this year. But I still feel like comparatively to where they're on the ladder, people are not talking about them as much as they should be. And the fact that it's at Geelong, Jez always plays well at Geelong. I feel like he knows that ground very well. And the speed they put on the ball on a small ground like that allows him just to kind of go wherever he wants. So I'll put him down for 5.
That was the Hot Stat Checklist powered by StatMate. Download the app for free now. All right, let's wrap this one up. But first, don't be surprised if teams start to cool on Ben King. So gun forward, great goal kicker, but maybe slightly too one-dimensional in my eyes. So, yeah, I just think he's a player that relishes a certain sort of game style. He's a gun. Don't get me wrong. I'm not calling him not a good player, but I think a player like him needs a certain sort of game plan and game style. I think he really relishes what the Suns do offensively. I just don't know if he does as much as Jeremy Cameron, who can, or Mitch Georgiades. They're a bit more versatile. They do a bit more. They lay more tackles, which you don't need to as a key forward. He's kicking goals. As I said, he's probably going to win the Coleman, and that's great. But, yeah, I'm not sure what it or if all 18 clubs would prefer a forward like Ben King or a forward that has a little bit more to the arsenal.
Yeah, it's I think he'll stay. I like him up there. I don't know. I like to see Ben King do his thing. Yeah, he's obviously had some injuries over the time period of him being there, but I think it's like now they're finally seeing him being able to be at his best, and hopefully he can. be able to give that experience that I think a lot of people up there have been wanting to see out of him for a long time. So I hope that he stays up there. But I do agree he is an absolute gun of a player, and he's a threat in the league. Let's be honest.
Yep.
I've got Mod. Don't be surprised, brother. Now, obviously, a bit of headlines this week. Melbourne, absolutely flying. Boardroom, not so much. They've fired their CEO out of nowhere, left field completely. I think he's getting legal advice, and probably I would too. I'm not sure what happened, but heck, it was pretty surprising. And to be honest with you, as a player, we don't care about what the board is doing most of the time, nor do we know. We are to play football and to do that well. And I think there's some things that people go, wow, Melbourne, will they kind of take a step back? They've got this new coach. They got this new game plan. I don't think much is going to change on the field, to be honest with you. I think people are looking for something to throw in the headlines. And I'll be honest with you, Melbourne, I feel like every single year there's some kind of board controversy with them because someone's power hungry or whatever it may be, or someone's got money and wants some kind of notoriety. I have no idea. It just seems like Melbourne always has an issue of some sort. And it was finally good until this week. They had something coming up. But before then, I thought this might be the year. Controversy does not become a thing at Melbourne. And once again, they have proved me wrong within 7 or 8 rounds of the year. And I don't know who's going to be CEO, but I feel bad for the players, but I don't think it'll change how they play much. And I think it'll just continue on and hopefully continue winning. And all I want to say is I hope that Brody Marchek kicks 6 goals a game. That's all I want to see from them. Give it to the big checkers. Let him kick as many goals as he can, except for whenever he plays us. And I just hope he has a great year.
Yeah, but he's already having a great year. That is for sure. Let's see what happens with the Ds. But there you go. Won't affect the players at all. Coxy said it here first. That's where we'll leave it for the day. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Make sure you enjoy the footy this week. And Coxy, good luck to you as well, mate. We'll speak to you next time.
Thanks, Legend.